Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the aftermath episode of Aiden's 30th birthday party at the tailgate for the Eagles and the Steelers game. We are heading into only 3 weeks left in the NFL season. The Dallas Cowboys seemingly don't want a top 10 draft pick, and the Eagles are legitimately fighting for home field advantage and the 1 seed with the bye in the NFC playoffs. Aiden, had a great time with you. Still have one of my cookies left with your face on it from this
Nice.
podcast.
Me
Phenomenal.
too.
There it is. We got Aiden's face three times on the screen. We had a great time. Appreciate it. I actually donned something. I wouldn't say it was Eagles gear. It was your birthday shirt. Okay, it wasn't like from the Eagles shop, so I was okay with it.
It was the closest we could get you to Eagles gear without it being Eagles gear. It hadn't affiliated, but it was more for the celebration of the tailgate and the birthday. So you got away with it a little bit.
Yeah, so I
good.
was good with that. Thank you. I appreciate that. But you looked good, felt good. How was it?
I had a great time. It went off perfectly. I think everybody who made it, and we had a great spot. FDR Park is in. Keep it a secret if you're listening. Thank you to everybody who's watching on YouTube and listening on Spotify. Don't tell your friends about FDR Park, but it's the best place to tailgate because we had a ton of space. Everybody who had to park could park. Everybody who made it. Everybody had a good time. DJ killed it. Like on a sappy note, I will beat this soapbox until the day I die, but like in years, I won't look back and remember what the score of that Eagles-Steelers game was, but you always remember the moments during sports and who you got to share with. And I had my birthday on that day and shared it with like literally 30-plus friends and family. I'll remember that the Eagles won for sure, but like what makes that is who you got to the moment you got to experience it with. So that's, to me, is what sports is all about. So it definitely meant a lot that everybody came out.
You might not remember the score, but I think you will remember forever that the Steelers punted with 10 minutes left and never got the ball back.
I will remember that. There's a few moments that stick out during the day. It's one before, like, the getting into Xfinity for the game because we secured the table so we didn't have to go through the general line, and the metal detectors being down. So standing outside while a metal detector doesn't work and a fighter jet flying over me. We had the technology for fighter jets, but not for metal detectors. So that will definitely stick out as a very funny thing that happened. And storming in Xfinity like it was the Bastille. I'll remember that 10-minute drive. It felt like it lasted like an hour and a half. Like everybody was just like, all right, I guess they wrapped it up. Like, that drive lasted so long. And as soon as they punted, we were like, dumb. And then Jalen Carter punched someone in the face, and I was like, also kind of dumb. And then when we got the ball back, never saw it again. Great drive. Great. And yeah, like I said, I won't remember the score, but I do remember that this was a great game. So, again, thank you to everybody who came. It did mean a lot, and it meant a lot that the Eagles won the game, too.
I would say the many little things that happened in this game, I guess you could say the microcosms of this game, were exactly what these two teams are, right? The Eagles can take the ball and you're never going to see it again. They have the ability to do that on offense, running the ball, being methodical. They also have the ability to throw the ball down the field, which everyone is bitching and complaining that they don't know how to do. They can do it. On the other end, the Eagles can turn the ball over every once in a while, right? Jalen Hurts is known for a couple fumbles here and there. They turned it over early in the game. However, which shows also the Steelers have a good defense, but their maligned offense does not turn the turnovers into touchdowns, which is why they lost.
I do,
and that
like
is who they are.
That is who they are, and I think that like projects going forward is like, okay, one of these teams did look like a Super Bowl contender, and one will make the playoffs and is a good team. One is trending towards being great. I think that was the big takeaway, and it's for all the reasons that you mentioned. Even in those situations early when the Eagles turned the ball over, the Steelers couldn't convert those into real points. They just could not move the ball, and that's two factors, right? The Eagles defense getting themselves off the field, but it's also like limiting the amount of Steelers possessions, which I think really like projects going forward, because it's not just what happened December 15th. It's what's happening in January and hopefully February. Yes. And I think that's what projects the most for the Eagles right now is a variety of ways to beat you and limit your possessions.
Yep. And I've said it before, and I'm going to continue to beat this horse. And I'm going to say it now also for multiple reasons. The Eagles are the best team in football. The Lions are
No.
legit. When I'm saying no, and this is not a curse. This is not one of those like say I'm seeing what I see from my eyes and it's multitude of reasons, right? Yes, the Lions are very good. And I think the only way the Lions could beat the Eagles is if they get the 1 seed and they try to outscore them 49-48 in the playoffs. Like that,
Which
they're
they
going to
could
have to
do.
do that. But that's going to be really hard to do against this Eagles defense. But the Lions are also, when I say losing 2 to 3 starters every week, Aiden, they're losing 2 to 3 starters every single week.
It doesn't feel sustainable, but at the same time, as someone who has one Super Bowl to his name, and it came when the entire team got hurt, including the franchise quarterback, it would be contradictory and hypocritical, and I'd be a what's the word? Like, I forget the name of the word, but somebody who, I'd be hypocritical. That's the word I was thinking of. I'd be hypocritical to say that they couldn't do it. But you're right; it is crazy. Like every week, and the David Montgomery one obviously is a huge blow. I do think that's how they'd have to beat the Eagles is just they'd have to score every time. I think if we play,
it would have to be in Detroit. I think they have a slim chance of doing that against Philly. They have no chance of doing that in Philly.
I don't think that they could. I don't think they could, and I'm sure every Lions person you can bookmark this for if they do it. But no, I think that that again, just back to my main takeaway from that Steelers game is why I think that they could do it. Even in Detroit, if it came down to that. And we'll get into the 1 seed projections and everything like that. But my biggest takeaway is just like, if you turn this into a Planet Earth documentary, it's like, if you turn these teams into animals in the way that they attack their prey, like the Lions actually probably would be lions, like the way that they just attack and maul teams, especially like up front with their offensive line. Like the Ravens would be like a cheetah in the way that like Lamar Jackson is fast and electrifying. The Giants would be the squirrels that eat the trash outside of my condo complex in the dumpsters. Yep. And the Eagles would be like pythons. The way that they just strangle their prey and suffocate the life out of them on the ground, that's what you see in those like 10-minute drives that seem to last forever. And you'll see those videos and like, how did a python eat an alligator? Like an alligator is a pretty big predator. That would be the Steelers. Like that's a predator in the wild. Like that's a good football team, and a python just constricted them for 3 hours. That is it. Like Planet Earth wise, it's not the most exciting version, but you can see how they attack their prey.
A very pretty python, if you ask some in the media.
Very pretty. I shouldn't bring up Get Up again after I brought up last week. But can you believe that clip?
Did you see the Mean Girls meme I tweeted from our account?
Yes. Well, did you see what they found on the internet? Like somebody was like, this is weird. Like it goes beyond the fact that so here's to set the tone for everybody who's not as chronically online as we are or watches as much TV. On Get Up on ESPN, they were critical of Jalen Hurts, which I don't get why. He was phenomenal. I guess that was the point, is he wasn't last week and he was this week. And Dominique Foxworth said that he has pretty privilege, which is just an insane analysis on a nationally televised talk show about football. But somebody posted that and like, did like Jalen Hurts take his girl or something? Like, what is this like weird vitriol towards Hurts? There's a clip. Dominique Foxworth and his wife host a podcast, and it's 2 minutes of her talking about how handsome Jalen Hurts is.
There's the problem.
And I'm like, it is. He has pretty privilege in your household. That's the problem.
Sitting there looking like Michael Scott with the backwards conga hat.
Those diamonds were dancing.
Dude, I mean.
Can't wear those after a loss.
No. But I think. So I said to my wife when we were leaving the tailgate, unfortunately we didn't get to go to Xfinity because we have children at home and live an hour away. And thank you to the grandparents for letting us out for a little bit.
Thank you to the grandparents. Also, again, thank you for everyone who came, because there were multiple people who had kids and they all got sitters to be there. And I know how much, like, for anybody who has kids.
Aiden, that wasn't for you. That was for us to get out and be adults, okay?
Thank you to anybody who got a sitter, even if it wasn't for me, to just be out for the day. I appreciate it.
my kids were sick, and my mother-in-law was like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "We're going. Leave them here. They're fine." But when we were leaving, we were actually passing Vince under 95 when we were driving out of FDR Park, and we were coming around, and I said, and I was looking at all the fans. I'm like, this is going to be a 35-10 game. And she's like, really? I'm like, uh-huh. And it ended up being 27-13 with a yard away from being 34-13. So I was very close. Yep. But did anyone not expect them to feed AJ Brown? Like we said it last week, here it comes. And they just did it.
And they did it. And the fact that they can do it. So again, like projecting what matters going forwards for the rest of the schedule, that is such an important part of it. Is just like you prove that you could do that. And you and I talked about this last week, and you're totally right. This felt like a win in May when the schedule came out. Like I looked at that, but partially I'm biased because it was my birthday. I was like, I just want to win on my birthday. And against the Steelers too. But I've said this multiple times on the show. The offense, everyone thinks it runs through Saquon. It runs through A.J. Brown. And his ability to get himself open, his ability to create yards after the catch, his ability to be that deep home run threat. And I've used this analogy before, but it's so important now as we get close to the playoffs and it's looking like they have a chance at the 1 seed. That Kobe Bryant clip where he said James Harden is actually easy to cover in the playoffs because if one guy has the ball, all 5 defenders just key onto that person who's dribbling nonstop. If every defender, safeties, linebackers are stacking the box, have their eyes in the backfield, it becomes easier to defend the Eagles. When they have to worry about Devontae Smith sitting down in the middle behind the linebackers and A.J. Brown catching a slant and turning a 10-yard gain into a 25-yard gain, it becomes so much harder to stop Saquon Barkley.
And it just seems like I want to say Paul what's Paul Carcaterra? Who's your
Grant
the backup?
Calcaterra.
Yeah.
He can be Paul if you want. But Paul's great. I like Paul Calcaterra. He's good. Like, I like him.
Out of nowhere, this dude catches the ball. And I'm like, where'd that speed come from? Like,
dude, he's fast.
He's very fast.
He's really fast.
They can hit you for Aiden. The Phillies have a loss on their record in October. The last time the Eagles lost was in September.
Yeah. The last time the Phillies were playing regular season baseball the last time the Eagles lost.
That's wild to me. They are a very, very good football team, and I hate every second of it.
I'm loving it. I'm a little worried about this week. We'll preview that game quickly, but just back to again, this is that game. There are things you want to take from there that say this is why they should compete for a Super Bowl. And if you look at the route trees for Devontae and A.J. Brown, you look at that and say, yes, that. Every game. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are, that. Snow, that. Rain, that. Down by 14, that. Up by 14, that. You're playing in Ford Field in November, January, that. You're playing outside Lincoln Financial Field, that. You're playing the Seahawks, that. It doesn't matter. Like, that's exactly how those route trees should look. They utilize them at different levels. And look at their yards after the catch. Each of those guys had 50-plus yards after the catch. A.J. Brown had 63. That is what you need from those guys. And both of them got near double-digit targets. That's exactly how it should be. And again, that sets you up to then use Saquon Barkley.
And you're able to do that right now also because of the health. Like we mentioned the Lions. You mentioned the last time the Eagles won the Super Bowl is a completely different story. I mean, I'm not going to knock on wood. I mean, I don't want anyone to get hurt. But you have to argue that they're probably the healthiest or the second healthiest team in the league right now, too.
They are, and let's get into the game this week against the Commanders. There are a few question marks. Landon Dickerson got hurt and did not return, and we haven't had an update, which is kind of strange. So I honestly don't know what's going on there. And then A.J. Brown, obviously, near the end, that hip drop tackle, it looks like he maybe got his leg out under there just in time on the fumble play. On that long 10-minute drive, so hopefully he's fine. So health, you're correct, is a huge part, but it seems like they escaped, hopefully, larger things, but we'll find out this week. So Saquon was banked up most of that game. AJ with the ankle kind of getting hip dropped on him, and then Dickerson didn't return. So Obviously, those 3 guys are key, and I think they'll be even more key this week. But you're right. Keeping healthy is very important.
Especially heading into FedEx Field.
Heading into FedEx Field, I will actually be there. Can't wait.
Oh.
This will be a good game, though.
Wait. Are you going to the Penn State game Saturday and this game Sunday?
I am. And if you're listening now, my throat is already shot. It was so cold on Sunday that I'm already not doing well, and now I decided back-to-back outdoor games.
Enjoy all of these things while you can now, my friend.
That's what I'm doing. I know there's limited opportunities, so I just thought to myself, like, I literally was like, first playoff games in college at home ever. Like, I might as well. Like, go for it. Like, you can only experience that once, and then Commanders game the next day. I could watch the Eagles win the division. Do it while you can, right? How many times do the opportunities come across?
Amen. That's awesome. I did not know that you were going to be there. Good for you. Yeah, I mean, Eagles are sitting at a 3.5-point favorite on the road. I mean, the Commanders are 9-5. I think the Commanders have come down to where we kind of expected them to be, right?
The classic Dennis Green, we are who we thought they were.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I would consider them a playoff team, but
no, for sure.
But that's kind of it.
I don't know what to think of this game because on one hand, they did not play well against the Saints. They probably should have lost that there at the end with the Saints going for 2. And it kind of reminds you of the Eagles-Panthers game a week ago where they snuck out with the win, but nobody's going to be like, hey, great win there, fellas.
You can do the Dallas Cowboys against the Panthers.
You can do the Cowboys against the Panthers. We're going to talk about them. But, and then for the Eagles, or for the Commanders, I'm assuming we're going to get their last gasp. Like, you're going to get the full 110% Commanders on Sunday. And, like, how ratcheted up are the Eagles going to be? 1 seed is on the line, so that it matters more. I think if the Lions would have won last week, it would have been less so. Now they have a real chance for the 1 seed, so maybe they're more ratcheted up. But it's kind of like the human psychology.
This goes back to the Sirianni video a couple weeks ago, and he's like, "We're working tomorrow," and they cheered. Mm-hmm. They're on a mission, bro.
And that's how I don't know how to feel because this would be a classic. Like you're getting a team that wants to come out and throw haymakers all first round of the fight. But like you said, it might just be different with the Eagles this year, where they can sustain that and they're just more talented to the point that some team could, like the Commanders, could throw their best effort and you could still win. Is what I'm looking at.
I think the Commanders' only shot at winning this game is if they start Tyler Heineke, who's no longer on their team.
Yeah, that would, and he could slide and then complain that Brandon Graham hit him. I'm still mad about that play.
I can't tell.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah, the biggest matchup this week, because I think I could preview this game for everybody. I want the Steelers game again. That's exactly what I want. But the matchup to look at this week, Terry McLaurin versus Quinyon Mitchell. Go look at Terry McLaurin's stats. He has been awesome. And for all the fantasy streams we do, he is wide receiver 4 in the fantasy season. Like, he is a top 5 receiver. 2 touchdowns again on Sunday. He should have had more. He actually had 2 drops that should have been touchdowns, and 1 was overthrown. He had like 5 touchdown opportunities. And he's going up against Quinyon Mitchell, who has now taken over as the odds-on favorite to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Are you getting the fire hat ready?
I'm looking for the fire hat, and it is not here. The only thing we have is my trash can that has I think the ones that we've done already in them.
No. So someone took the fire hat. Oh, so man.
My daughter took the fire hat out of the office because it is hers. Or
Emma has no respect for the Eagles' young defensive players.
I continue. I'll try and find the fire hat here.
Okay. Well, I'll just say on Quinyon Mitchell, he's taken over as odds-on favorite for Rookie of the Year. If he straps up Terry McLaurin, who's been on a crazy pace like he did the last time these two teams played, I think it's over. I think he'll be Defensive Rookie of the Year, so that's definitely a matchup I'm looking to see. And Cooper DeJean as well. He had the fumble and the punt return, but again, just like I go back to that game against the Buccaneers when Avonte Maddox was like to Mike Evans as he was torturing our team, like, "Yo, do you be gaming?" And I was just like, I might actually hate this team. Like, I just went to show some fight, and they're talking about Fortnite while they're down by 30 to the Buccaneers. Like, dear God. And then everything's changed since then since they put Cooper DeJean in. So I'm just constantly watching him and watching the secondary, I think, will be big this week because being able to air it out and hit those home runs, I think, is the only way the Commanders keep pace.
So I just looked at the names in the trash can. I think these are the ones that we have not done yet. So someone
Fire hat got taken, but
the fire hat got taken and it was dumped in the trash can. So I feel very bad about this, but
just steal it back.
Are here.
Pull one out of the trash bag.
All right. This is not disrespect, Philadelphia fans. Okay.
Yeah.
This is the card that I was dealt.
Who do we got today?
Cooper DeJean.
There we go. Hey, like I just mentioned, he had the fumble on the punt early in the game, so it was kind of brutal there. I thought he recovered nicely. He is really, him and getting A.J. Brown back have been the two keys to the season. Since that bye week, they got A.J. Brown healthy. They inserted Cooper DeJean into that slot, and everything's taken off since then. So, again, this will be big this week. It feels like, if not Terry McLaurin, then who a little bit with this offense?
Yep.
Zach Ertz looked like he got hurt last week. We'll see if he can play. Noah Brown's out. So they're kind of limited in the options that they can do, and that's where Cooper DeJean can kind of step in. So I would like to cement this as like the division win behind our secondary. Like Quinyon gets his first pick or DeJean gets something, and just be like, yeah, we went from 2-2 to winning the division because of these young guys, and like cementing that on the field with the team that traded the pick to us to get Cooper DeJean would just be awesome.
And I want to thank the coaching staff for the Philadelphia Eagles as well as Howie Roseman for being loyal listeners to this show, because you called for it, and as soon as you called for it, they delivered in terms of playing the young guys.
Yeah. Nolan Smith had another sack again a week ago against the Steelers. Like, these guys with playing time are growing, and you see it every single week. So yeah, I was like, if we're going to go down, can we at least go down with the players that could be here for the next 5 years? And they did it, and we haven't gone down quite yet. We've won 10 straight, so I'd say we've at least been going up. We're ascending a little bit here. Mm-hmm. And another thing I forgot to mention, them trying to pile drive Darius Slay into the stands, and last year that Eagles defense probably would have thanked them and sent them a fruit basket for dominating them like that, the way they let the 49ers dog walk them literally on their sidelines. Same thing with the Seahawks game. Like, they were the softest group of guys. This week we got Darius Slay and Quinyon Mitchell throwing punches at people. Notice how the Steelers all of a sudden were so tough when Jalen Carter joined the scrum. So I was just like, this team mentality-wise is a total 180. And Quinyon, I know my rant's on Cooper DeJean, so I'm sorry, but Quinyon is just a different type of animal. Like, he was over there throwing punches in 10 seconds. And I know, like, that stuff's dumb, but it does matter in football. Like, the fact that you will not let yourself be out-physicaled matters.
It's culture, and it's toughness. It's physicality. Yes, again, you always want that in between the whistles. You don't want, extracurricular penalties and stuff. But it, like you said, that is a major difference in the collapse of last year and the ascent of this year. It's not only play on the field. It's not only X's and O's and talent. It's little things like that as well that go a long way.
I know.
Did you see the video? Who was trying to help up one of the Jordan Davis was trying to help him up, and Jalen Carter's like, "Get the fuck out of here! Get up on his own. There's no help."
Jalen Carter is just Bane. Like, he
literally slapped his hand away. He's like, "What are you doing?"
Also, Jordan Davis, he has a great play. He didn't get the tackle, but Jalen Warren becomes the lead blocker for Justin Fields, and that poor running back had to take on Jordan Davis, and he just gets absolutely obliterated.
He's like, God damn it.
It just makes you feel bad. It's like watching one of those videos of when, like, people get on the train tracks and the train can't stop, and it just
done.
That's what it looked like. Jordan Davis against his poor running back.
Oh, this is great. This is great.
Leading the way for the quarterback. Like, dear God. So to wrap up the Eagles, I'm confident in the team. That was the most confident I've ever been in a win. They delivered 10 out of 10. No notes. Hopefully some of those things project towards the future as we hit these final 3 games. They have a potential at the 1 seed. If you look at it, obviously, Lions, Packers, Vikings, all playing each other. So they're kind of knocking each other out. This will be the biggest test this weekend for the Eagles. I think they're going to get a big test from the Commanders. Like you mentioned, though, it might just be like, you know that saying, it's like culture beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Well, the Eagles might just be both. And
both.
that one might outweigh just the fact that they're going to get a big effort from the Commanders here.
I saw a funny meme on Twitter that it had all the faces. It was that meme and had all the faces, the people sitting there and the guy yelling, and it was all the logos of the AFC North, and it was the Eagles yelling, "Smells like bitch in here."
Oh, yeah. 4 for 4, baby. Dominated them, too.
Completely did.
The
So,
Browns
yeah,
gave us the biggest test. Hilarious.
just another year in the NFC East with a different winner. It's wild.
Big dog. Hopefully we can clinch it this weekend at FedEx Field. I bet there'll be a lot of Eagles fans there, including me. So that'll be a great game.
Just think about
Cowboys.
where we were last year at this time, like fighting over Shaq Leonard.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. It was this time last year. I was doing like the game. It was like we lost to the Seahawks on Monday Night Football. Another pouring down rain. Like, that was brutal. And you're right. Like, we were like, well, we need a linebacker. Yeah. Both of our teams were like, we can't stop the run. We're the lick.
And then Shaq Leonard came in, and that didn't work out.
That feels like a fever dream to me.
Yeah. But my
Cowboys.
nightmare just continued after winning the division. So
Not dead yet.
that's when my nightmare began.
Your dreams are becoming reality. Maybe you guys can sneak into the playoffs.
Dreams
3 straight
and
wins.
nightmares.
Talking about
rapper
yeah,
might say.
we should have had our my DJ friend play that. That's on me for forgetting.
As he played Black and Yellow for your birthday.
Yeah, that was a good subtle job. He was great, man. He was
fully into it too the whole time.
Yeah, I know, right? There were times like
Loved it.
he'd have to like run away, and he'd be like, "Oh wait, gotta get back." So the dedication.
I thought he was like live on Instagram or something. He was like vibing at his computer. I'm like, does he have like followers live right now?
And you know what? He did that for like the love of the game. He reached out after I met him at a different birthday party and wanted to DJ, and I was like, absolutely, hell yeah.
Yeah. And I got to say, you're being able to watch the games there too on the TV. I felt like the Wi-Fi there was better than the Wi-Fi we have here when we use StreamYard.
It was. It was very funny. We put the games on Red Zone at the tailgate, and I know the Cowboys won, but like turning it on in the immediate. Yeah, it was crystal clear television. When we couldn't get it at Xfinity, my backup plan was coming back and just I was like, we have beer in the trunk. We got seats. We'll just put up that TV again, and we'll all watch it in the darkness of FDR Park.
So if you didn't, I wasn't going to tell you this, but if you didn't have all the tables and everything, Lisa and I were going to try and hook you up with our friend who works for the Eagles. Probably could have got you tickets in that day. And we were trying to work it to scheme for us to stay and do that. But I was like, we can't just surprise them with that and then screw everybody else who's going to Xfinity.
So you know what happened?
Huh?
First of all, it's very generous of you. And that would have been awesome if we could do it. That did happen.
You were offered tickets?
I wasn't just offered tickets. My mom bought me tickets for the game.
You didn't go in?
She didn't know that we had planned this tailgate, and then we told her, and she bought the tickets in September. Like we were like, it was months ago, and we had been talking about the game being on my birthday. She bought the tickets, and nobody knew, and it was supposed to be a surprise. And we got so close to the event, and I'm planning. I'm like, let's get this. We'll get an extra table. We have 23 now. Like I'm like one by one doing head count. I've got all these plans for the tailgate for Xfinity. Now, like everybody knows. Like my sister knows, my girlfriend knows, my mom. Everyone's like, my dad. Like everybody's freaking out because I'm like going so full court press
into
on
it.
this tailgate party, and they're like, he doesn't realize he has tickets to the game. So that did happen. I had tickets and I sold them so that I could be with
Okay, all right.
all
I was
my
going to say,
friends
did
and
anyone
family.
use them or you sold them? Okay.
Yep. So we sold them. I did have tickets to the game though, and I sold it
And
because
paid
I
for
wanted to be
cookies.
with everybody, and it paid for the cookies.
All right. Okay. That makes me feel a little better.
Yeah.
All right,
So
Dallas
that would have been
Cowboys.
funny if you would also do it, and I would have had double tickets, and it had to been like, I can't.
But I would have been like, you're sitting in a suite with Jason Kelsey.
I don't know. Everybody would
maybe half the game.
half the game. Yeah, but it worked out. You know how I feel. Sometimes live, a little rough, but it would have been awesome regardless. And like I said, I wanted to be with all the people.
Yep.
So I'm glad everybody was there and it worked out.
That's what matters. I love going to sporting events. I love going to concerts, but I always have like that I don't want to go in. I don't want the tailgate to end.
Yeah. I feel
That's
that
how I
too.
always am at all those events.
You never want the tailgate to end because he's like, oh, now it's over. Like one step's over. Now we only have one thing left. Like when you leave for the tailgate for the game or the concert, then you're like, oh, it's not wrapping up, but one of the stages is done and it's been so fun.
Like when we always used to go to the Kenny Chesney concerts in Philly and like we'd get there at like, she'd be like, why do you want to get there at like 10 a.m.? I'm like, because I want to enjoy the whole day.
Those Kenny Chesney concerts, those tailgates go hard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I went for the first time.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. All right.
I got tickets through work and
Cowboys.
I guess I didn't realize how crazy they were. But yes, Cowboys. Big win. 3 straight. Looking great, by the way.
They lost to the Bengals. They lost to the Bengals.
Oh, yeah.
Don't forget the loss. Thank you, Bengals. The Panthers, I think, it was just funny. 34 straight games. They're finally a favorite, and they just get dog walked at home by Cooper Rush.
And Bryce Young also didn't look great.
How about the Cowboys actually committing to a running back that's not Ezekiel Elliott, committing to the run, and now he has 3 straight games with over 100 yards and compiled. I think he had 106 and 119, 135 or 49 this week. Rico Dowdle's looked like a legitimate RB1.
Top rusher on the week, by the way.
So he's been doing. I've said I've always liked his traits. He's been on the Cowboys a while. He runs hard. He's got quickness. He's got speed. His problem was he could never stay healthy. And it's interesting that they're doing it behind this quote unquote makeshift line now, right? Zach Martin is done for the season. Hoffman steps in. TJ Bass has stepped in. They have gone away from their first round pick, Tyler Guyton, and Adoga has been starting at left tackle for them. But I think it starts with Terrence Steele on the right side. He was playing horrendously at the beginning of the season. He has stepped his game up. It's just, we've said it. I'm happy for some of the younger guys and the culture portion of it. You want to get those guys to understand what winning is in the NFL. You don't want them to just come in and all they experience is losing and bad culture and all that. But at the same time, it's like, okay, now you're 5-8. Now you're out of the top 12 for the draft. What is going to watch they run the table and go 9-8.
It'd be very funny.
It would and either make the playoffs or just miss. It would just like that. That is exactly who the Cowboys are.
Because then you're in no man's land.
Literally.
Draft-wise.
It's the worst spot. We're back to Graham Barton.
Yeah.
Instead of
it's the worst spot.
The Heisman Trophy winner, possibly. So Cooper Rush steps in. CeeDee Lamb did what CeeDee Lamb does. That one drive, I think he had 5 catches, the touchdown pass, and then they just all of a sudden, I think the Cowboys want to be like the Eagles. They just started getting Jalen's involved. Jalen Tolbert has a touchdown. Jalen Brooks has his first ever touchdown as in the NFL. The defense, has stepped up. I got to give a shout out to one of my Notre Dame guys. So we obviously lost to Marvion Overshown. I did a big eulogy on his season, hopefully not his career last week. Maris Liufau, who was one of their picks this year, and linebacker from Notre Dame, who I always loved when he was at Notre Dame. He's a guy that's always around the ball when there's a turnover. Him being on the field this year, I think opponents rush 1.2 yards less every time he is on the field. He stepped in this week as the starter for Overshown and was phenomenal. The coaching staff said they could put the green dot on his helmet right now as a rookie, and he would be able to run the defense perfectly.
Wow.
It's like, okay, yeah, he's a smart guy too. He went to Notre Dame, right? Yeah, they actually care about academics there, unfortunately, for the football team's sake.
Still
But
made the playoff.
there's been a couple bright spots, like him, Micah Parsons recently, and now Mike. I don't know if you saw this week. He said, "I want to be a Cowboy for life. I expect them to attack free agency full on in 2025." Like 4 days after Stephen Jones said it's going to be very tight again, like it was last year.
That is coded messaging.
Mm-hmm. So now listen, I'm upset about the draft. We said it last week. You and I love the draft. I want a high draft pick. I'm almost more upset because Aiden, I've been saying it for 3 weeks now. I think it's a lock now. Mike McCarthy's coming back.
He's definitely keeping his job.
He has everything in play now of look what he did to keep the team together. No quarterback, lost all these players.
It strengthens his case actually because, like you
100%.
said, like they don't have their starting quarterback. They had a bunch of injuries, and now they're still playing well enough. It's like, oh, look how much he's doing with what he's got.
It's a lock, complete lock. So, I was just like kind of a little excited too for the offseason coaching search, right? There's guys out there that I think it's if they do move on, I think Vrabel's the guy. I think they want somebody with experience. He just seems like the guy, right?
Has to be.
With Belichick gone now. But we'll see. And I think that means it's going to be a package deal too with Zimmer. And you have seen recently the defense showing up, finally understanding what Zimmer does, and Zimmer finally understanding what he just came in. So it's when except for Vic Fangio has kind of figured it out quick, but it takes a little while sometimes for you to figure out, like, okay, what does each guy do good in my scheme, and for me to put him in the right position to succeed. It seems like that's coming to fruition now, except for one guy on the defense. Aiden.
Who?
Trayvon Diggs again. I don't know if you've heard the whole thing.
Well, he's hurt.
Everything. Yeah, he's done for the year now. He needs knee surgery again. And there are reports out there. Our guy, Jeff Kavanaugh, tweeted it from Clarence Hill, who's an insider, saying that the Cowboys organization has not been thrilled with the way Trayvon Diggs attacked his rehab from last year.
Really?
Now, his ACL is still intact, but they're also saying
the same knee.
Uh-huh. They're also saying that it's significant, quote unquote, and people within the organization say 2025 could be in jeopardy. Now, how? Really? I don't understand. We're like if his ACL is intact and he's not having a full ACL repair like he did last year, how would all of next year be in jeopardy?
I don't know.
I don't understand that.
Overshown, that one makes sense because he tore multiple ligaments in his knee.
Yes.
So, but if his ligaments are intact, I don't know what would cause him to miss the whole year.
Yep. So, and then it was interesting. So Micah Parsons quote tweeted our guy, Jeff Kavanaugh, because of course, and he said, one day I'm going to spit facts, just not today, and he's like, that's BS that they're putting that on my brother's name, basically, about Trayvon not attacking his rehab. So we talk about drama in Philadelphia about, not throwing the ball to one guy enough, or are you guys friends or not? Like the drama in Dallas is this kind. It's podcasts and Twitter and beefing. And then I saw right after that, Trayvon Diggs just tweeted a emoji of a hat, and I didn't understand what that meant at all. So then I kind of looked it up. Yeah, it said that the young kids say capping. So does that mean that's bullshit, basically?
That's cap. Yeah, it means it's bullshit.
When did that become like? Is that new or is that old?
That's been a thing for a few years.
Okay, very old. I don't get to see those things on Bluey or Miss Rachel. They don't talk about capping.
Miss Rachel doesn't say
but yeah,
cap.
so it's all this drama-filled media versus the players, and it's people are also questioning like Trayvon hopping on Micah's podcast when he was out talking stuff, and then they're shooting music videos after losses. It's just
wait, what?
Oh yeah, in a club. They're at the club, and I don't know if it was a legit music video, but they were like videoing
I did
themselves.
see this. I did see this. Yeah.
I think it's. I mean, if I'm dead serious, I think Jerry Jones feeds into the players too. He sells them on the brand, and you're a Cowboy, and it's bigger than football, and you're a brand. Like it just seems like Cowboys players almost more than anywhere else. They're a brand first,
Definitely.
than a team or
Well, it
a
was a
player.
big story earlier this year too, like how like you do the tours and like you're trying to practice or you're in the weight room and there are people coming on tours. Like it's more for a brand than it is to get better on practice days.
Yep. You're basically like an animal in the zoo
animal.
for people to come watch you do what you do. So
Now I need to find an animal for the Cowboys. If the Eagles are pythons,
they're a peacock.
They're a peacock. Yeah. Oh, that is a great one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great.
Look at my feathers. Look at me strut.
But they're
and
not
then you get up to it, it's
anything.
like, ah! It's like, really? What are you going to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to punch you in your peacock face.
Yeah. Wow, you did. That was a great one. You're really good with it. You're on brand, on target with your planet Earth analogy.
I'm the Cowboy peacock. Yeah. I'm gonna find a picture of a peacock and I'm gonna put Jerry Jones's face on it and tweet it out.
Yes. Cowboys
He's the
brand.
ultimate peacock.
I can't wait till we get big enough with this podcast that we have like one of those out of context Twitter pages, and it's just like stuff like that, and it'll literally be like a meme of Jerry Jones as a peacock, and just like Jalen Hurts' head on a python who's like constricting an alligator.
It's coming, my friend. It's coming.
It'll be the squirrel from Ice Age, and it'll be like this Giants.
So the Cowboys actually play a game this week, Sunday night, which is miserable. It means I just have to be up. Like again, I knew that's what I was waiting for you.
I didn't know it was Sunday night football.
And they can flex, right?
Why
but I mean, they're not gonna flex the Cowboys out or Baker Mayfield and the Bucs right now.
Okay, well that's fair. All right,
because I think they did flex week 17. Let me see. I think I just saw that they did flex week 17.
By the way, while you look this up, and speaking on the Buccaneers, the Falcons, I cannot do it anymore. Kirk Cousins, if you watched that last night, they won the game, but Kevin, he doesn't have the physical capabilities to get the ball to the running back on a handoff in time. Do you know how crazy that is to say in the NFL? Like, they're in pistol because he can't get from under center running back in time to hand the ball off.
Yep.
What are we doing, Atlanta? What are we doing?
What? You couldn't tee me up better. Week 17, Dolphins-Browns flexed out, and being flexed in, the Falcons and Commanders.
Oh my God. I can't.
Give me Jameis Winston.
Give me.
Why are you
Michael
taking Jameis
Penix.
Winston away from me?
Yeah. What a flex that is. No, put Penix in. There's just no way that this could be worse. Kevin, you probably didn't watch it because any sane person wouldn't have watched Falcons. But they're running a lot of pistol and pitch plays to the running backs, and it's because he cannot hand the ball off. Like, he cannot physically get to the running back in time, and you see it because there are plays that he tried, and he'd like fall down, and he has to reach all the way out to get it to Bijan Robinson or Algier, whoever it is. It is the craziest thing I've ever seen, and they just put up with it every week. They drafted a kid 8th overall, and the guy who starts over him has to pitch the ball to the running back every play. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I'm ready to see some Michael Penix. I think we all are.
Penix.
But staying in the NFC South, so the Bucs are a 4-point favorite, I believe, on the road.
And they look really good.
Yes. They're fun, right? 8-6 right now.
Uh-huh.
I got to say.
Baker's fun.
Baker's ascent, like, I love this for him, right? Remember, he was at Oklahoma. He was fun. He was planting the flag. Went to Cleveland. I'll never forget that whole, like, they brought him in, won a playoff game for them. He gets kicked out of there. I completely forgot he was in Carolina, to be honest with you. And then remember he like got called on like a Wednesday to play Thursday night for the Rams, didn't know anything and won the game.
Yeah, I think that saved his career.
Yeah, literally.
Which is crazy that he is good.
Yeah, like And now you see what he's doing down there. They kind of got a defense. They do have weapons. Like,
By the
uh,
way, I have to say it, and we'll get back to the Buccaneers. But speaking of backup quarterbacks rejuvenating their career, Patrick Mahomes hurt his ankle, which means the boy's back in town. Carson, baby. Carson on Christmas. Come on. Who?
I think the ultimate, the absolute ultimate pinnacle of life would be Carson Wentz, backup quarterback, beating the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl. What would you do?
Well, I mean, technically, I would be right.
And sometimes
If
it's
that
better
did
to be
happen.
right than
Yeah.
happy.
I would have stick with my take so long that I would be right. But I don't know. I don't know.
I
If
might have to fly. I might have to pay for a flight for you to go to the Chiefs parade in like an Eagles Wentz jersey with a big sign that just said "I told you so."
It would break the fourth wall of my life. Like, I don't know if I'd believe in like the true reality anymore. If Carson Wentz beats the Eagles in a Super Bowl as the backup quarterback who came in as the veteran journeyman now after he got replaced by the veteran journeyman who won the Super Bowl for the Eagles. I don't think my brain would fully comprehend that that could happen in this reality.
Literally could happen.
Could happen. Back to
I
the
mean,
Bucs,
I
but I had to bring that up. Like,
I'm sure Patrick Mahomes will be back in plenty of time. Remember that whole thing when Tua hurt his ankle before like and they were like flying him around in a plane in Alabama to get like the
for the national championship.
yeah
I totally forgot about that. Yeah, because what was it like an elevation?
yeah you could like rehab better and elevate like with that. And I'm like, what? He's in college. What do you mean he's just on a private plane just doing circles around Tuscaloosa to keep his ankle off the ground?
There are certain things that only make sense in SEC football. That would be
Literally.
one of them. Like,
Awesome.
also, what couldn't they just like put his foot in a walking boot on the ground?
No, Aiden, because
I guess not.
There's things on the ground that are bad for you. Okay.
All right. Well, hey, Eagles. If AJ hurt his ankle on that hip drop tackle, send him to the sky. I don't care if we're playing in DC. Put him up.
There's plenty of drones up there for him to be flying around.
Yeah, that's the future. That's why they're testing those drones over there in New Jersey. It's to see if they could take NFL athletes and pretty much like put them into regeneration.
Hey, they've moved over here. They're all over my house too now.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it either. This just seems like a big Bucs win to me. I mean, Cowboys coming off a big win. They're coming back home where they have not been good at home this year. Baker's from Texas. Coming home. And we know what high school quarterbacks from Texas do against the Cowboys. They usually beat them.
Fucked me in fantasy football so bad.
So I'm hoping for a big. I just don't see a way that the Cowboys defense really can stop that attack, those weapons that they have. Like, who's matching up with Mike Evans right now? Is it Deron Bland, who's only like 3 weeks back removed? I just don't fully see it. So,
and another thing with the Bucs, the way they've been able to run the football, Bucky Irving has been a revelation, and they're also getting productivity out of Rashad White. So they kind of have this like two-headed monster in the backfield right now that's been really, really good.
It was amazing too. I don't know if you remember this, but like during the draft process, like scouts didn't love Bucky Irving, and I didn't understand it.
No, I remember that. And there was like a run of guys in the fourth round at the running back position. I think he was one of them, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cowboys had a shot at him too. I mean, hey, we got Rico Dowdle.
A lot of people. It's true. It took them a minute to realize that, but they do have him.
It's crazy too. Cooper Rush has 8 fumbles so far since he's taken over and I think he jumped on 1 or 2, so he would have had 9 or 10 actual fumbles lost. So Bucs, if you're Vita Vea, just come right up the middle, get that arm out, fumble, it'd be great.
Yeah.
I'm also seeing, I'm excited for this game, almost more to see kind of what Baker Mayfield can do. I also want to see some of the young guys still playing, like I said, for the Cowboys and Marcus and Leofau. Kind of heading back to the NFC playoffs since I'm not going to be involved with it.
Hey, don't
I
count
could
yourself
see
out
the
just yet.
Bucs being a problem for the Eagles, but
Oh.
I don't think after what happened earlier in the season.
I still
That's
think
your
they'd be a
last loss,
problem.
correct?
It is our last loss, and I know we were shorthanded in that game, but they just defensive schematically, like, I mean, how many times do you have to see it in Jalen Hurts' career? Like, he can't figure out their defense. It was his rookie year. That's who we lost in the playoffs. Last year, it's who we lost to in the playoffs. It's our worst loss this year. Like, we lost them in the regular season a few years back. Like, he can't solve their defense. I think, honestly, I would not want to play them in the playoffs. And I know you technically would not to start because if we both win the division, we can't.
Division, yeah.
And
so that wouldn't be
the biggest threat to the Bucs are throwing out a geriatric at quarterback, so it's kind of tough. But yeah, I think they're a good team schematically.
Think about where we are right now. Like, remember 2 weeks into the season, the Saints were undefeated. There were no murders in New Orleans, and now look where we are.
Now they started Jake Hayner the other day. I don't even know what happened. Was he not good or did he get hurt? Because by the end they had Spencer Rattler in the game, and I don't know what happened in between.
All I remember is they dog walked the Cowboys, and then I don't think they won a game since.
I don't know. I really don't. It is crazy how the year went. Also, it was warm like a month ago. What happened?
Hey, it's 56 degrees out today.
It was. I went on a walk earlier and I couldn't believe it. Feels great.
Yeah. So, and it's supposed to be like one of the warmest Christmases on record up here next week.
Is
so,
it?
and I still can't believe Christmas is next week. I still feel like we have a week in between, but we don't.
I keep doing that with work and also with like Christmas gifts, like something that I got shipped today, and I was like, "Oh, perfect." And I'm like, "Oh, wait, no, and it needs to get here soon." I'm like, I bought that a week ago thinking I had a month. I don't. I'm always like 2 weeks behind in my head.
So after we get off this podcast, speaking of Christmas, and the people come for football, but they stay for extracurricular stories. Yes. So I need to call my father. He was like, "What should I get Emma?" This is my 3-year-old, soon to be 3-year-old. And we're like, "Oh, get her this scooter. It's like her cousin has it. She loves the scooter. It's like this whole thing." My dad's like so happy and proud that he's got her the scooter and stuff. Every time we ask Emma, "What is Santa bringing you this year?" she says the scooter. We went and saw Santa. She asked for the scooter. She's fully convinced Santa Claus is bringing the scooter. So now I need to call my father and be like, "Hey, you got to give up the scooter because the scooter has to be under the tree from Santa when she wakes up in the morning, or she's not going to believe in Santa." So now he's like, "Well, I don't know." So we'll see how that
You're
goes.
In a conundrum. You're in a bit of a conundrum.
Mm-hmm. So, anybody who, sorry if you don't believe in Santa Claus, but yeah,
hopefully
listeners.
Emma's not a loyal listener. She's going to figure out about Santa.
Emma is subscribed. So, Cowboys Sunday Night Football. Last couple weeks of the season, we have to endure Cowboys football until looking into the offseason with a top 5 pick and a new head coach. Oh wait, never mind.
Not quite.
You got any last parting gifts here?
I do not. It'll be another great week of football. And again, I said this last week. It means even more now after that tailgate. And I was kind of blown away by the amount of people who are willing to be there. But as we get close to the holidays, enjoy watching the games with all of your people. Even if you're rooting for a draft pick like some of us are, it's still a fun experience. And for the Eagles, next time we talk, could be division champions. Let's hope.
I'm getting ready to be fully in locked and loaded anybody but mode in terms of the Eagles. Just anybody but for the Super Bowl.
There's some rootable teams. I will say that, like the Lions, Bills. Like there are a lot of teams that like I'm like, oh, I don't hate them. But Rams don't.
Yeah, I would say. Hateable. Yeah. But Bills for sure, Rams for sure, Lions, yes, Bucs for sure. It's kind of Steelers are.
You're not going to root for
Ravens.
The
are really.
Yeah.
The Texans, they just talk every time we pick a team, Aiden. I think we are the curse.
At least they won their division.
Yes.
It's kind of like the AFC South plays a different sport. And we just at the end of the year, then we let them have a playoff game on the wild card game on Saturday every year. They're like, all right, you guys can play with us for a week. So
they are always like the 1 o'clock game on Saturday.
Yeah. All right,
everybody. Enjoy. Well, we will talk to you before Christmas, but enjoy the games this weekend. Enjoy the weather outside. Enjoy wrapping gifts and doing everything you have to do to get ready for the holiday and the last couple weeks of the Cowboys, Eagles, and NFL season. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you have not yet, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're watching here. Like and comment. Aiden is going nuts on the TikTok for the last couple weeks. The TikTok is live, but I did see that the incumbent president is trying to reverse it now. He wants to save Twitter, I'm hearing. So we may get a lot more of Aiden, and hopefully me if I get the login soon. Thank you for everybody else that follows us on socials, Birds vs. Boys Pod, Twitter, Instagram, and that said TikTok. And anywhere you listen to full podcasts, Google, Apple, Spotify, and especially Stitcher, Birds vs. Boys Pod. We will talk to you all soon.
Chris Hansen here, and I'm going to need you all to take a seat right over there and check out Birds vs. Boys.
I think you're completely right here, and I hate it.
Yep. Hey, idiots. Stop doing dumb things.
I got 2 phones.
Upset alert. Upset alert. I might go insane.
I think you're already there.
There's no hope. Hope is gone.
If this was an AFC North podcast, we'd be done in 15 minutes.
Bob Hope. I'm going to drink bleach.
That it? Be the team you promised me you were going to be this year!
This is the Consciously Hopeful podcast.
I'll be watching.